All right, everyone. Your video for today is just going to be a demonstration of me going over this entire slide for you. All right, just to give you all of the answers and solutions and methods and strategies for doing this slide. This was yesterday's homework, slide 13 in the 3.3 file right here, and I just want to go over all the answers with you from start to finish. Let me just delete all this, just so you're clear and understand how to do this stuff. All right. So write the following equations in function notation. Very simple. Function notation is when you write f parentheses x. It's called f of x. That's function notation. You sub out the y and you put in f of x. That's all. This one we're going to have to add 3x to this side first. So y equals 13x plus 2. And now we could put it into function notation, which is just f of x equals 13x plus 2. That is function notation. All right. Evaluate the following expressions given the functions below. So they give us actually 4 different functions here. A g function, an f function, an h function, and a j function. So basically, whatever letter you see in the problem, that's the function you plug it into. So g of 10, g parentheses 10 means plug in the 10 into the g of x function. So g of x, and you don't have to rewrite this, but I'm going to. So g of x is equal to negative 3x plus 1. So g of 10 just means replace the x with 10. That's all. So negative 3 times 10 plus 1. So g of 10 equals negative 30 plus 1 is negative 29. That's all. You don't actually do any math with the g in the parentheses 10. That's just a way of stating your answer. What this means is, in the g function, if you input 10 to the g function, your output is negative 29. That's all. F of 3, so that means you're going to plug in into the f function, so it's going to be 3 squared plus 7. You can see the f function right here, right? It's x squared plus 7, so just replace the x with a 3. So 9 plus 7 is 16. All right, h of negative 2 just means plug into the h function of negative 2. So 12 over negative 2 is negative 6. So you'd write h of negative 2 equals negative 6. That's how you do all these. J of 7 should be 2 times 7 plus 9, which is 14 plus 9, which is 23 for this one. And I believe all the answers are given below. You know what? You could skip E and F. Those are, you don't need those. And then H, I, and J, find X. All right, find X if G of X equals 16. So these 3, you actually got to go backwards. They're telling you that 16 is the output. What's the input? So in the g function, so the g function is negative 3x plus 1. Suppose that equaled 16. Well, how would you get x? Well, you would just solve it. So you would subtract 1, right? And then you would divide by negative 3, right? So 15 over negative 3 is negative 5. And that's your x value. So basically, you're just solving an equation. Same thing here. The h of x function is 12 over x. So basically, if 12 over x equaled negative 2, solve that for x. So 12 divided by some number is equal to negative 2. So you can multiply by x on each side. So 12 equals negative 2x, and then divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and you get your x should be negative 6. Find x if j of x equals 23. Well, j of x is the function 2x plus 9. So set that equal to 23 and solve it. 23 minus 9 is, I'm sorry, not 32, 14. And then divide by 2. 14 over 2 is 7. So that is your input. If you input 7 into the j function, your output would be 23. All right? Translate the following statements into coordinate points. Very simple. This is the input. This is the output. Or in other words, this is the x. This is the y. Input is always x. Output is always y. So as coordinates, it's very simple. -1, 1. That's all. The number in the parentheses is your x. The number it's equal to is your y. 2, 7, 3, 0. Very, very simple. And then finally, this bottom section here where you're given a graph. So the number in the parentheses is the x. So when x is -4, what's the output? Or in other words, what's the y? So if x were to be -4, which is right here, right? Well, here's the point on the graph. What's the y value there? So the y value is 2. Okay? So if x were 0, what's the y value in part B? Well, here's the point right here. So if x is 0, then y is 0 too. It goes right to the origin. And then if 3 is the x, what's the y? So 1, 2, 3. So 3, an x value of 3 is over here, which is that point right there. The y value looks like it's about -2, right? Roughly, -1. It's about -2 units down. So -2. All right, and then same thing here. If x were -5, what's the y? So if x were -5, which is over here, what's the y value? Well, the y value there is 0. Hopefully this all makes sense. Last two. Now this one, they want you to go backwards. They're giving you the y. Find the x. What's the x when y equals +2? I'm going to erase all this. If the y were equal to +2, so which is 1, 2 units up. Well, actually, there's 2 points, aren't there? Isn't there a point here and as well as a point here that have a y value of 2? So the x value is -1, and it's also -4. There's actually 2 answers to this one. There's 2 x's. When x equals -1 or when x equals -4, it gives you a y value of 2. Because the graph is curved, right? It goes up and then back down again. So it's going to hit it at 2 spots. See that? And then finally, last one. If the y value is 0, what's the x? That also happens at 2 spots. It happens here. This is the 0 line, right? And it also happens here, right? So what are the x values? Well, 0 and -5. All right? So the x values are 0 and -5 for this one. All right, and then you could compare your answers down here. These are all the solutions. And that's it, everyone. That's how you do this slide. So I would just like you to know and understand and watch this video and understand how to do all these problems on this slide. When I get back to class, we are going to have a quiz on this stuff. And this slide is a pretty good indicator of what the quiz will be on. All this input output stuff. function notation, as well as domain and range. All right? Good job.